Yard sites as they were in the small bins, and the augers kept on growing, and now we have augers, as you can see, up to 104. This happens to be a 104-foot Farm King, and to move them around tight locations was an extreme difficulty. Roadways, getting in and out of lanes with culverts, you couldn't negotiate some of the culverts. Aligning the spout with the top hole is made much easier. Your tractor can basically remain in a location you choose and steer the auger to the bin, and even after you dropped your side auger, your auger will generally move over on the top. Without moving your tractor, just steering the wheels will move the top spout up to 1.5 feet without moving the tractor, just steering the wheels. We were unable to negotiate a corner, so we decided that after backing up a long way along a road to come across a neighbor's field, we decided that the time probably was right to make steerable axles. Using the remote of your tractor, which your tractor is hooked up to the auger anyway, the remotes are there, hook into that, steer your wheels on the auger without having to move the tractor long distances to negotiate corners. Another advantage of setting up this Auger-Steer was in filling Quonsets. You need to hold a center line in a Quonset while filling it. You can dog track your auger as you're filling. Every time you pull ahead, your auger can remain right in center. Your tractor can be off out of the line of the semi coming in, and you can stay out of the way and hold a true center in any Quonset as you're filling. Grain bagging has become a popular alternative or outside grain storage. Grain buggy is the preferable way to fill a grain bagger. However, if you're hauling any distance to a grain bagger, you won't do it with a buggy. You need to use a semi or other truck. And one way to follow a grain bagger is with the large augers that we have now. You use the Auger-Steer to run parallel to the bag and or bagger, and as the bagger always has to move to fill the bag, you can move the tractor with the swing auger underneath the semi, and allows it to stay parallel, and the spout of the auger staying in the hopper of the grain bagger and allowing it to move alongside with the bagger as the bag is filling. Yeah, once we developed a product that we felt was making these augers maneuverable, we needed to look at the different augers and just what would make it fit. The newer Farm Kings all have 4-bolt plates welded to the existing axles. The auger, the way it comes from the factory, is a 4-bolt plate that is just bolted, the spindle, and that is bolted to this piece in here. We remove those 4 bolts, put in our steering unit, and just bolt everything back in place without changing either the tire, the spindle, or anything. It just bolts in between there. The kit comes with a steering unit, all the bolts. It comes with a tie rod end, the clamps, the cylinder, all the fittings, the check valve, and the hoses right to the tractor, including the tips. This is the double acting check valve. It takes pressure from your tractor to open it up either way. It's always locked up until pressure hits it from the tractor, which opens the opposite side, which allows your cylinder to move in either direction. The safety reason is for being pulled in transport behind pickups where they will damage hoses or not properly tied up hoses. All kinds of things that can happen to hoses, get them ripped off and fittings broke, and this will keep it locked up. Not all augers are the same width. They have a wider stance. So our tie rod end is simply two pieces of square tubing, one sliding inside another. We use a double clamp to securely tighten that down. You need a variable adjusting point so you can align your wheels after setting up the new steering knuckles in the existing auger. So you just make sure that your toe in, toe out is accurate. You tighten your clamps securely and it's ready for operation. If there was a concern or any need for being more secure with that, once the clamps are secured, just drill a hole directly through the unit and put a bolt right through there, and it would never move again, and that would make it permanent. The hydraulic cylinder gets clamped either to the existing, this happens to be a 5x5 axle, the smaller ones are 4x4. We send the appropriate clamps and the cylinder bracket that clamps to that. Very simply, just put it where it fits, and the other one gets put on the tie rod end, and it's also secured with two clamps. And when the initial setup, you would set it up so it is truly in the middle. 4 inches of cylinder would be used here, so it would steer 4 inches in both directions. It's just a 2.5 by 8 hydraulic cylinder, 3,000 psi cylinder that we use there. This particular auger is 52 feet from the axle to the hitch, so it's a 104-foot auger. We would send the appropriate length of hose that would go right to your tractor. So each auger has a different length of hoses, and that can be adapted to whatever length of wheelbase, if you want to call it that, from hitch point to the axle of the auger. Once we have the model number and the make of the auger, and they're not all the same, then we'll send the appropriate length of hoses. On some of the units, we're going to have to be more of a universal fit. We have seen the Bueller auger, and it has a welded plate to the end, which we then just remove the wheel hub assembly and put the steering unit into that. This would be, if you want to imagine this being your axle on your existing auger. Some of them are 3x3, some of them are 4x4, and we supply this whole axle assembly that just clamps to the backside of the existing axle that's there. The spindle and hub assembly that is welded into some of them, you would just leave that. This would all clamp in behind that axle, and it becomes a new axle with the hub and axle assembly on there. Once we know what series of auger you're working with, some would have 5-hole spindles, 5-hole hubs, some would have 6-hole, and once we know what that is, we'll send you the 5-hole. If you have an existing 5-hole, you would just take your wheel off and put it on the same spindle that we would send you. The spindle, steering mechanism, your or this is polyurethane hardened bushing. It fits into there. There's one on top, one on the bottom. Your kingpin is 1.5 inch shaft, and there's no metal on metal contact. This pin, when it's removed, reveals your polyurethane bushings that come in there. There happens to be a grease nipple in it. It can be greased, and it'll always keep your pin lubricated for removal if you so had to do that. There's one grease nipple on your tie rod end, and one at each end of that. And your cylinder bracket bolts onto the new, or clamps onto the new axle assembly, and the other end of the cylinder just clamps onto your tie rod. And you just set it up so you have equal amount of stroke going both ways. Tie rod end is sent in two pieces, one sliding inside the other. Once you have your toe in, your toe in and toe out adjusted and measured up properly, you just tighten the two clamps that are here, and it becomes a permanent installation. During this video series, you've been able to view both our products, the product that fits the plate type for the Farm King, and also the universal clamp-on kit. And if there's any other applications you're wondering about, please feel free to contact us at Triple Star.